Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel called for revolutionary unity to disarm attempts to destabilize the Caribbean nation by opposition groups. At least 12 people have been killed and 20 others injured when a bus carrying migrants overturned and caught fire in Turkey. Bulgarians have voted in early parliamentary elections expected to confirm a stable government coalition. Hello and welcome to teleSUR. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez in Quito, Ecuador, and this is from the south. The president of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel, gave a press conference on the measures applied to battle the COVID-19 pandemic and to address some issues about a small opposition group who tried to create destabilizing actions. After the president explained that the vaccination program in Cuba is progressing smoothly, he ratified that the revolutionary population should not echo some behaviors that goes against the interests of the Cuban people. This was part of his visit to the city of San Antonio de los Baños, where the opposition tried to create instability. Díaz-Canel called for revolutionary unity and to remain active in the streets to fight U.S. interference that is taking advantage of the pandemic situation and the tightening of the blockade against the island nation.
We separate the revolutionaries who may be confused. We separate the inhabitants of Cuba who may have certain concerns. But we are not going to admit that any counter-revolutionary, mercenary, sold out to the government of the United States, sold out to the empire, receiving money from the agencies, allowing themselves to be carried away by all these strategies of ideological subversion. We are not going to allow them to provoke destabilization in our people. And there will be a revolutionary response. And that is why we are also here calling on all the revolutionaries of the country, all the communists, to go out to the streets, to any of the places where these provocations are going to take place, today and in all these days, and to confront them with decision, with firmness, with courage.
The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, has announced that he will present new evidence about terrorist activities organized by Colombia to attack Venezuela.
In the next few days, we will present new evidence of mercenaries that are trained and prepared in Colombia to come and carry out killings and acts of terrorism in Venezuela. In the next few days, we will present new elements because in Colombia, the mafia governs. A narco-terrorist mafia governs Colombia.
President Maduro also announced that there were more than 20 Colombian paramilitaries involved in the violent events occurred in capital Caracas, in which the state security forces intervened to restore peace.
All of those captured in the Operation Gran Cacique Guayquipuro in Cota 905. There are 3 Colombian paramilitaries. But what they say is that there were more than 20 Colombian paramilitaries there for months, of the terrorist criminals killed in the fray. I am informed at this hour that there are more than 10 who have no identifiable Venezuelan fingerprints in Venezuela. Presumably, 10 terrorist paramilitary terrorists who came from Colombia.
Argentina has become the country with the highest number of doses of coronavirus vaccines applied per 100 inhabitants in the last week. The Argentina mass vaccination program surpassed this weekend those of Italy, France, China, and Germany, which have figures between 0.86 and 0.76 doses per 100 inhabitants. The Ministry of Health indicated that more than 34 million people have been vaccinated against COVID-19. The vaccination rate in Argentina has increased thanks to the massive arrival of jabs from Russia and China. In Haiti on Saturday, Senate representatives postponed the swearing-in of Joseph Lambert as interim president of the country without offering an alternative date for the ceremony. The postponement of the event was announced in a short message in which the legislators insisted on the urgent need to rebuild the country. On July 9th, the 10 senators proclaimed Lambert as head of state after the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. This and all the resolutions of the House are questioned by political sectors of the country, given that they come from only 10 senators who remain in office. even though the National Congress was officially closed in 2020. Security forces in Haiti announced this Saturday the capture of a new mercenary of Colombian origin. 20 have already been arrested, involved in the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. According to authorities, the search continues for 5 more fugitives, mercenaries, implicated in the assassination of the president. According to figures, of the 20 arrested so far, 18 are of Colombian origin and 2 are U.S. citizens of Haitian origin. The Haitian National Police urged the public to collaborate with the security forces in order to find the rest of those implicated. According to the results of the preliminary investigations, a total of 28 people were part of the armed commando that assassinated President Moïse on July 7th. In the last few hours, it became known that the Colombian businessman Alfred Santamaria, a friend of President Iván Duque, is partner of the Venezuelan businessman who hired the Colombian mercenaries who assassinated President Moïse. Alfred Santamaria, a Colombian who resides in Miami, Florida, is the partner of Antonio Intriago, the Venezuelan businessman related to the opposition leader Juan Guaidó, who is the owner of the company CTU Security, through which all the mercenaries who participated in the assassination of the president were hired. Santamaria visited in March of this year the Nariño Palace, the headquarters of the Colombian executive. In addition to Tony Intriago and President Iván Duque, the businessman has also shared with the anti-Castro activist Ileana Roseltain. More news in a minute, stay with us.
It is our duty to reverse the damage we cause to the planet. Let's recover our natural ecosystems with actions in defense of the environment. Let's keep fighting for a greener world. Wednesdays, only on teleSUR.
Welcome back. At least 12 people have been killed and 20 others injured when a bus carrying migrants overturned and caught fire in eastern Turkey. The bus is reported to have tumbled into a ditch while traveling overnight near Yumikali Van province, which borders Iran. The migrants who travel through this road usually come from Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, crossing into Turkey on foot before boarding buses to cities such as Istanbul and Ankara. The Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has visited Turkey for bilateral talks with his counterpart, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The Palestinian leader was welcomed by the Turkish president in Istanbul, and the two discussed the latest developments in the Israel-Palestine conflict and the humanitarian situation in Palestine. Also, the agenda were efforts for reconciliation between various Palestinian groups, as well as Palestinian elections. Hospitals in Myanmar are faced with a serious shortage of oxygen as the country struggles to cope with increasing cases of COVID-19 virus. Relatives of COVID-19 victims are seen in long queues trying to secure oxygen desperately needed by patients. The surge in COVID-19 cases has been worsened by ongoing protests against the recent military takeover, which were also joined by health practitioners. The country's health ministry on Saturday reported a record of 4,377 new confirmed cases and 71 deaths. Despite a spike in COVID-19 cases in Myanmar, protesters against the military takeover have continued gathering in the streets calling for the military leaders to step down. Dozens of protesters marched in the city of Yangon, chanting anti-military slogans and setting on fire the Myanmar Armed Forces flag. Resistance to the military rule has continued for the past 5 months after civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi removed from power on February 1st. Afghan authorities have pledged to take charge of the Taliban siege, assuming that its army has in the past days made some progress in defeating Taliban fighters. The Afghan military made an announcement that it has installed an anti-missile system at Kabul's airport to counter incoming rockets, and they claim they have killed dozens of Taliban fighters in recent days. Taliban militants increased their offensive across the country since early May, when the final U.S. troops began leaving Afghanistan.
Our foreign friends have given us the system. It has a very complicated technology. For now, our foreign friends are operating it while we are trying to build the capacity to use it. This is the information that we collected since last Wednesday. Our security and defense forces have recently carried out of a total of 124 airstrikes in 25 provinces, resulting in 1,177 Taliban insurgents being killed and 651 wounded.
Countries have started evacuating their diplomats from war-torn Afghanistan as Taliban fighters continue gaining more ground. Despite information by government officials that they are in control of the situation, some countries, including India and China, have already started pulling out and closing their consulates. China has issued a statement blaming the United States for the ongoing security crisis in Afghanistan and accused the U.S. of dumping the war it started on the Afghan people. Meanwhile, the Afghan president Ashraf Ghani has called on the Taliban fighters to stop the siege.
Let's ask a couple of questions to the Taliban. First, who are you fighting for? Are you fighting for Afghanistan, or you want Afghanistan to be under control of others? If you love Afghanistan, promise me that you have not accepted the Durand line. Promise me that you will not change Afghanistan from a crossroads to one-way road. Promise me that you will not sell Afghanistan's water to others. Promise me that you will not save other people.
U.S. authorities say they are making progress in identifying the victims of the deadly building collapse in Florida last month. Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levine Cava said on Sunday that 90 deaths had now been confirmed in the collapse of the 12-story building south in Surfside. Among them are 71 bodies that have been already identified, and their next of the kind has been notified. Some 31 people remain missing.
We're now on day 18. Search and recovery efforts continued uninterrupted throughout the night and morning as our teams worked tirelessly as ever to make progress on the collapsed site. Truly, it is a remarkable operation. Our team continues to make incredible progress delayering the pile. And we're working to bring closure to families as quickly as we possibly can. We have now recovered over 14 million pounds of concrete and debris. And through our search and recovery, we have recovered additional victims since our last briefing, and the number of confirmed deaths is now 90. 71 victims have been identified and their next of kin notified. And our hearts and minds are always with those we've lost and with the families who are grieving and those that are still waiting.
We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this.
Dieciséis años nos tomó demostrar que otro mundo era posible. 16 años en los que el amor, la igualdad, la solidaridad, la hermandad y la justicia
Who would not take any risk on our backs. I am hopeful that some take care of us pensioners.
Moldova citizens have voted to choose members of parliament. Voters were choosing a new parliament after the previous one was dissolved by the new president Maya Sandu. 20 political parties and 2 electoral blocs are running for office, and they must cross the 5% threshold and 70% of the votes respectively to obtain seats in the assembly. Sandu, who wants to bring Moldova into the European Union in November, defeated incumbent Igor Dodon on a pledge to fight corruption in one of Europe's poorest countries.
The choices citizens make today will determine which laws future MPs will pass. We can bring order to the country. I voted for an honest parliament with which I can work together with the government, with parliament for the good of the citizens.
Residents of the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa say they hope Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's government can ensure peace and economic stability after his electoral victory. Ethiopia's ruling party won a landslide in a landmark parliamentary poll. Results show Saturday, ensuring a new 5-year term for the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, despite a brutal war in the northern region of Tigray. The winner of the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize had hoped to frame victory at the ballot box as a mandate for political and economic reforms and military operations. His Prosperity Party won 410 seats in the federal parliament out of 436 where elections were held.
The election was held at a time when there are many agendas in our country and where there are many complex domestic and foreign problems. However, compared to the pressure, I would say it is a successful election.
For now on, we expect the winning party to put things into practice. We want the cost of living to decrease. There are many things that they need to improve, and we want them to work on those things.
Ivory Coast's 2 former rival presidents, Laurent Gbagbo and Henri Bédier, had met for reconciliation talks a month after Gbagbo returned to the country. Gbagbo and Bédier have agreed to form a coalition that will challenge the incumbent president Alassane Ouattara. The 2 rival leaders met following President Gbagbo's return to his homeland as a free man after being acquired by the International Criminal Court on crime against humanity charges. Gbagbo was arrested in April 2011 and was acquired on January 2019.
This act of mine to meet Henry Kony, BD, is an act of reconciliation and acknowledgement. When we speak of reconciling, it's all of that. Reconciliation is all of that. Respect the text and respect human beings.
South African police have arrested more than 60 people in connection with violence, which erupted after the incarceration of former President Jacob Zuma. In a statement, the police say they arrested 37 people in the eastern province of KwaZulu-Natal and 25 in Johannesburg over the previous 2 days. The protest, which started when former president was sentenced to 15 months in jail for contempt of court, have since escalated into vandalism and looting, which have been attributed to economic desperation due to the COVID-19 restrictions.
We don't know yet what is the strike it's all about. It's what we know. All the shops have been looted, the cars have been looted, so we don't know much of what is behind that, what has been causing that. But from people that have been saying, it's something that is related with our former president. Because as you see, we're living near the hostels here. So most of the Zulu guys are in support of the former president.
And we come to the end of this news brief, but remember you can find this and many other stories in our website at telesurenglish.net. And don't forget to join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. Thank you for watching.